fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests. They say that the prospects of being hanged in the morning concentrates a man's mind wonderfully. Unfortunately, what the mind is inevitably concentrated on is that it's in the body that's in the morning is going to be hanged. The man going to be hanged had been named Moist van Litvig by doting, if unwise parents. But he was not going to embarrass the name insofar as that was possible by being hung under it. To the world in general, and in particular to that piece of the world known as the death warrant, he was Albert Spangler. And he took a more positive approach to the situation and had concentrated his mind on the prospect of not being hung in the morning. And most particularly on the prospect of removing all the crumbling mortar from around the stone in his cell with a spoon. So far, the work had taken him 5 weeks and reduced the spoon to something like a nail file. Fortunately, no one ever came to change the bedding in here, or else they would have discovered the world's heaviest mattress. It was a large heavy stone that was currently the object of his attentions, and at some point a huge staple had been hammered into it as an anchor for manacles. Moore sat down facing the wall, gripped the iron ring in both hands, braced his legs up against the stones on either side, and heaved. His shoulder caught on fire, and red mist filled his vision, but the block slid slowly out, with a faint and inappropriate tinkling noise. Moise managed to ease away the stone from the hole and peered inside. At the far end was another block, and the mortar around it looked suspiciously new and fresh. And just in front of that stone was a new spoon, all shiny. As he studied it, he heard a clapping behind him. He turned his head, tendons twanging at the riff of agony, and he saw several of his warders watching him through the bars. Well done, Mr. Spangler. Around here owes me $5. I told him you were a sticker. He's a sticker, I said. You set it up, Mr. Wilkins, didn't you? Said Moist weakly, watching the glint of the light on the spoon. Oh, no, not us, Mr. Spangler. Not that veterinary's order, he said. He insists that all condemned prisoners should be offered the prospect of freedom. Freedom. Well, there's a great stone right in front of me. Yeah, there's that, sir, said the warder. It's only the prospect, you see, not actually free freedom as such. That'd be a little bit daft, eh? I suppose so, said Moist. He didn't say, you bastard. These people had big sticks, and you don't argue with people with big sticks. So speaking carefully, he added, some people might consider this cruel, Mr. Wilkinson. Yeah, sir, well, we asked him about that, and he said, no, it wasn't. He said it provided occupational therapy, healthy exercise, prevented moping, and offered the greatest of treasure, which is hope. Hope? Not upset, are you, Mr. Spangler? Upset? Why would I be upset? Only the last bloke we had in the cell, he managed to get down that drain. Very small man, very agile. Moist looked at the grid at the floor. Does this lead to the river? The warder grinned. You think so, didn't you? Well, he was real upset when we fished him out, I can tell you. Nice to see you entered into the spirit of the things, sir. You've been such an example for all of us. The way you keep on going, shuffling all that dust into your mattress. Very clever, very tidy, very neat. It's really cheered us up having you in here. By the way, Mrs. Wilkinson says to thank you very much for the fruit basket. Very posh, very posh. It even got kumquats. On that general subject, sir, said Mr. Wilkinson, Me and the lads here was wondering if you'd like to maybe unburden yourself at this point of time on the subject of the whereabouts of the place, of the location, of the spot where, well, not to beat around the bush, where did you hide the money? The jail went silent. Even the cockroaches were listening. No, I couldn't do that, said Mr. Spangler. After a decent pause and some dramatic effect, he tapped his jacket pocket and winked at the wardens. The wardens grinned back. We understand totally, sir. Now get some rest if I was you, because we're hanging you in half an hour. Hey, don't I get breakfast? Breakfast isn't until 7 o'clock, sir, said the warden reproachfully. But I tell you what, I'll do you a bacon sandwich because it's you, Mrs. Spangler. And now it was 5 minutes before dawn, and it was him being led down the short corridor and out that little room under the scaffold. The hinges of the trapdoors were being carefully oiled by a man in a hood. He stopped when he saw the party arrive and said, "Good morning, Mr. Spangler." He raised his hood helpfully. "It's me, Daniel One-Drop Trooper. I'm to be your executioner for today. Don't you worry, sir, I've hanged dozens of people. We'll soon have you out of here." Would you maybe mind signing the rope beforehand, sir? I mean, I don't have a chance to ask you afterward. Signing the rope, said Moist. Yes, sir, said the hangman. It's sort of traditional. There's a lot of people out there who buy old rope, specialist collectors, you could say. I've even got a special pen that signs on rope. One signature every couple of inches, straight forward, no dedication necessary. Mr. Trooper watched him sign along the length of the rope, nodding happily. "Well done, sir, well done. Now we're ready, everyone." "Not me!" cried Moist. "Oh, you're a card, Mr. Spangler, said Wilkinson. "It won't be the same here without you around, and that's the truth." "Well, it won't be the same for me either," said Moist. "Do you really think that this deters crime?" "Well, in generality of the things, I'd say it's hard to tell, given it's hard to find evidence for crimes not committed." "But in the specificity, sir, I'd say it varies efficacious." "Meaning what?" "Meaning, I've never seen someone up here more than once." Now, shall we go? There was a stare in the air as they climbed up in the chilly morning air, followed by a few boos and some applause. Some people were strange like that. Steal a few dollars and you're a petty thief. Steal $1,000 or you're either the government or a hero. "Nice crowd turn around for today," said Mr. Trooper, tossing the end of the rope over the beam, busying himself with knots. "Lots of press there is. What gallows covers all of them, of course. And then there's the Time and Pseudopolis Herald." Moist was aware that a black coach had drawn up at the near of the crowd. There was no coat of arms on the doors, unless you were in on the secret, which was that Lord Veterinary's coat of arms featured a sable shield, black on black. That man had class. "I ask you, do you have any last words, Mr. Spangler?" "It's customary. I wonder if you might have thought of any." "Well, actually, I wasn't even expecting on dying." "Come on, Mr. Spangler, you don't want to get me in trouble, do you?" said the hangman, patting her on the shoulder. "Just a few words, and then we can all get on with our lives. Present company accepted, obviously." "In that case," said Moist, "I commend my soul to any god that can find it." "Nice," said the hangman and pulled the lever. Albert Spangler died. It was generally agreed that he had been good last words. "Ah, Mr. Lidwig," said a distant voice, getting closer. I see you're awake and still alive, at least at the present time. There was a slight inflection on that last phrase, which told Moist that the length of the present time was entirely in the gift of the speaker. He opened his eyes. He was sitting in a comfortable chair. At the desk opposite him sat Lord Veterinary, under whose idiosyncratically despotic rule Ankh-Morpork had become the city where, for some reason, everyone wanted to live. The thin, black-robed man with a fussy little beard and the pianist's hands was watching him. Shall I tell you about angels, Mr. Litwick?